The Somerton Man, the TAMAM SHUD mystery. December 1st, 1948, Somerton Beach, Adelaide, Australia. A man lies dead on the sand, dressed immaculately in a suit and tie. No wallet, no identification. Every single label has been surgically cut from his clothing. In his pocket, police find a scrap of paper with 2 words torn from an ancient Persian poem. TAMAM SHUD, it is finished. But this was just the beginning. What followed would become the greatest mystery in Australian history. A coded message that cryptographers still can't crack. A nurse who may have been a Soviet spy. A secret identity hidden for 74 years. And a love affair that someone was willing to kill for. This is the story of the Somerton Man, and trust me, the truth is stranger than any spy novel ever written. Act 1, The Discovery. The body on the beach. Let me paint you a picture of post-war Australia. It's the summer of 1948. The world is still reeling from World War II, and the Cold War is just beginning to freeze over international relations. Adelaide is a quiet, conservative city, the kind of place where nothing extraordinary ever happens. Until it does. On the evening of November 30th, 1948, several witnesses see a well-dressed man lying on Somerton Beach. He's propped up against the seawall, one arm extended upward as if reaching for something. Witnesses assume he's drunk or sleeping. In those days, you minded your own business. The next morning, December 1st, the body is still there. Now people are concerned. Police are called. And here's where it gets weird immediately. The man is dead, but there's no obvious cause of death. He looks almost peaceful, like he just decided to take a nap and never woke up. He's impeccably dressed, a brown suit, white shirt, red and blue tie, polished shoes. Everything about him screams professional, put together, man of means. But when police search his pockets, they find absolutely nothing. No wallet, no identification, no money, not even a bus ticket. Wait, it gets weirder. Someone has taken the time to cut out every single manufacturer's label from his clothing. The suit label gone, the shirt label removed. Even the tags from his underwear have been surgically excised. This wasn't an accident. This was deliberate. The only items in his pockets, an unused train ticket from Adelaide to Henley Beach, a bus ticket, an American-made aluminum comb, a packet of juicy fruit chewing gum, a packet of Army Club cigarettes but with Kensita's cigarettes inside, and half a pack of Bryant and May matches. Oh, and one more thing that police almost miss. In his fob pocket hidden away is a small scrap of paper with 2 words printed on it. TAMAM SHUD. Nobody knows what it means. The autopsy that raised more questions. The autopsy is conducted by Sir John Burton Cleland, one of Australia's most respected pathologists, and he is baffled. The man appears to be in his 40s, about 511, muscular build, exceptionally fit. His hands and fingernails suggest he's never done manual labor. His calf muscles are unusually developed, like a dancer or a runner. He has remarkably good teeth for someone from that era, which suggests wealth or excellent health care. But here's what stops Dr. Cleland in his tracks: the internal organs. The man's stomach is full of blood. His spleen is massively enlarged, 3 times normal size. His liver and other organs show signs of acute congestion. These are classic signs of poisoning. But when they run toxicology tests, they find nothing, no common poisons, no obvious toxins. Dr. Cleland's conclusion: death by poisoning with an unknown substance, possibly a rare poison that leaves no trace, or one they don't know to test for. The kind of poison that, in 1948, might be used by intelligence agencies. The kind of poison that doesn't exist in normal life. The investigation begins. Police are now treating this as a suspicious death. They circulate the man's photograph, dental records, and fingerprints across Australia and internationally. Surely someone knows this man. Surely he has a family, friends, a job. Weeks pass, then months. Nobody claims the body. Nobody recognizes him. His fingerprints don't match any records in Australia, the UK, or even the United States. It's as if this man never existed. The police try everything. They bring in witnesses who saw him on the beach. One man reports seeing him raise his right arm and let it fall. A couple saw him earlier in the evening, same position, same pose. But nobody saw him arrive. Nobody saw anyone else with him. They canvass every hotel, boarding house, and lodging in Adelaide. No missing guests. They check missing persons reports. Nothing. This man is a ghost. And then 4 months later, they find his suitcase. ACT2, the suitcase and the code. The unclaimed luggage. January 14, 1949, Adelaide Railway Station. A railway employee finally checks an unclaimed suitcase that's been sitting in storage since November 30th, the day before the body was found. Inside, police find a trove of items, but once again, every single identifying label has been removed. The contents are bizarre. A reel of orange thread, the exact color used to repair a tear in the dead man's pants. Someone knew this suitcase belonged to him. A screwdriver, a pair of scissors, a stenciling brush and knife, several items of clothing, all labels removed. A laundry bag with the name Keen or Keen stenciled on it, but then crossed out as if to hide it. And here's the kicker, 3 items that seem completely out of place. A coat made from American fabric, not available in Australia. Scissors of a type used by plant or electrical workers. And that stenciling kit, suggesting the man might have been forging documents or creating false identities. The police are now convinced this man was either a spy, a criminal, or someone running from something. But the biggest break is still to come. TAMAM SHUD, the Persian poem. Remember that scrap of paper with TAMAM SHUD on it? Police finally figure out what it means. A local professor identifies it as the final phrase from the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, a collection of Persian poems. In English, it means it is ended or it is finished. It's the last words of the entire book. But here's what's insane. The paper isn't just any copy. Forensic analysis shows the paper has been torn from a specific edition, a rare printing. Police need to find the book. They make a public appeal, and miraculously a man comes forward. In July 1949, 7 months after the body was discovered, a man who requests to remain anonymous tells police he found a copy of the Rubaiyat in the back seat of his unlocked car, parked near Somerton Beach, around the time of the death. He didn't think much of it and tossed it on his car's dashboard. The torn page matches perfectly. But when police examine the book, they find something that changes everything. The code. On the back cover of the book, someone has written in pencil, WRGOABABD, MLIAOY, WTBIMPNATP, MLIABOAQC, ITTMTSMSDGAB. 5 lines of seemingly random letters. Below it, scratched out so heavily it's barely readable, is a phone number. Cryptographers from Australian Naval Intelligence examine the code. They conclude it's either 1. A substitution cipher, 2. An abbreviation code, first letters of words. 3. Complete gibberish meant to mislead. To this day, nobody has definitively cracked it. But that phone number, that leads police somewhere very interesting. The nurse, Jessica Thompson. The scratched-out phone number belongs to a woman named Jessica Jo Thompson, a nurse living in Glenelg, a suburb near Somerton Beach. Police visit her in July 1949, and her reaction is strange. When shown a plaster cast of the dead man's face, witnesses say she looks like she's about to faint. She goes pale. She seems shocked, disturbed, emotional. But then she composes herself and says she doesn't recognize him. She tells police a story. During the war, she gave her copy of the Rubaiyat to a man named Alfred Boxall, a lieutenant in the Australian Army. Maybe this is his book. Police track down Alfred Boxall. He's alive and well, living in Sydney. And he still has his copy of the book, the one Joe gave him. So the book didn't come from Boxall, which means Jo Thompson lied. The secrets of Jessica Thompson. Here's what police learn about Jo Thompson. She's a nurse, trained and professional. She's married to a man named Prosper Thompson. She has a young son. But there's something off about her marriage. Neighbors report it seems strained, possibly unhappy. And here's the bombshell. In 1950, just 2 years after the Somerton man's death, Jo gives birth to a son named Robin. Robin grows up with unusual physical characteristics, remarkably similar to the dead man. Specifically, he has an extremely rare genetic trait, missing lateral incisors, teeth, and a unique ear structure with an extra fold. The Somerton man had the exact same rare traits. Robin Thompson would later say he believes the Somerton man was his biological father. So who was Jessica Thompson, really? Researchers have uncovered something shocking. During World War II, Jo worked in a place called the Australian Institute of Anatomy in Canberra, a known front for intelligence work. The building was used for covert operations. She had the training, the access, and the connections to be involved in espionage. One theory, Jessica Thompson was a Soviet agent or informant. The Somerton man was her contact or lover, and whatever happened on Somerton Beach was the result of a spy operation gone wrong. But Jo took her secrets to the grave. She died in 2007, never having publicly admitted to knowing the Somerton man. ACT 3, the THEORIS. Theory 1, the Soviet spy. It's 1948. The Cold War is just beginning. The Soviet Union is aggressively recruiting spies across the Western world. Australia, with its proximity to Asia and its alliance with the United States, is a strategic target. Here's the spy theory. The Somerton man was a Soviet agent or courier. He was meeting Jessica Thompson, his handler or fellow agent, to pass intelligence or receive instructions. The coded message in the book was a cipher for secret communications. But something went wrong. Maybe he was discovered. Maybe he was a double agent. Maybe Thompson herself poisoned him to protect the network. The evidence. The removed labels, standard spy tradecraft. The untraceable poison. Jo Thompson's intelligence connections. The coded message. The timing, height of post-war espionage activity. One researcher, Jerry Feltus, a former detective who investigated the case for decades, became convinced this was espionage-related. He believed Jo Thompson knew exactly who the man was and why he died. Theory 2, the jilted lover. Maybe it's simpler. Maybe it's just a tragic love story. The Somerton man and Jessica Thompson had an affair during or after the war. He came to Adelaide to see her, to reconnect, maybe to run away together. But Jo had moved on. She was married. She had a child. She rejected him. Heartbroken, the man took his own life on the beach near her home. The TAMAM SHUD, "It is finished," was a final message to her, a poetic goodbye. The evidence. The book was left in a car near her home. Robin Thompson's physical resemblance. Jo's emotional reaction. The romantic nature of Persian poetry. But the problems with this theory? The poison, the removed labels, the elaborate preparation. This doesn't feel like a simple suicide. Theory 3, the accidental death. Some believe the man was a small-time criminal or black market operator who accidentally poisoned himself. Maybe he was smuggling something, testing a product, or involved in illegal activity. The removed labels were to avoid being traced back to his crimes. The evidence, well, there isn't much. This is the boring theory that most investigators reject. Theory 4, the American connection. Here's a wild one. Some researchers believe the Somerton man was an American. The American-made comb, the coat with American fabric, his excellent dental work, more common in the U.S. at the time. One theory suggests he was a U.S. intelligence officer working in Australia under a false identity. When his mission was compromised, he was eliminated by his own agency or by enemy agents. Why Australia? In 1948, Australia was hosting British atomic bomb tests. American and British intelligence were heavily active in the region. Maybe the Somerton man was part of that world. But again, no proof, just tantalizing possibilities. ACT4, the DNA breakthrough. 74 years later. For 7 decades, the Somerton man remained unidentified. His body was exhumed in 2021 for DNA testing using modern techniques. And in 2022, a breakthrough. Professor Derek Abbott, a researcher who had been obsessed with the case for years, and who, bizarrely, married Rachel Egan, the granddaughter of Jessica Thompson, worked with genealogists to build a DNA profile. Using genetic genealogy, the same technique that caught the Golden State Killer, they traced the Somerton man's DNA through family trees. And they identified him. Charles Webb, the electrical engineer. In July 2022, South Australian police announced the Somerton man was Carl Charles Webb, an electrical engineer and instrument maker from Melbourne. He was born in 1905. He had a wife, but they had separated. He had a history of moving around, struggling with personal demons. He died at age 43 on that beach in Adelaide. Mystery solved, right? Not so fast. Why the mystery remains. Here are the problems with the Charles Webb identification. 1. The DNA match isn't perfect. The genetic genealogy is based on distant relatives, not direct descendants. Some experts say the identification isn't conclusive. 2. Why was Charles Webb in Adelaide? He had no known connections to the city, no family there, no business there. Why travel to a random beach town? 3. Why remove all the labels? If he was just a depressed man planning suicide, why go to such extreme lengths to hide his identity? 4. The poison. What killed him? Why has no toxin ever been identified? Where would an electrical engineer get a rare, untraceable poison? 5. Jessica Thompson. If Webb was Robin's father, when did they meet? How did they know each other? Why did she lie to police? 6. The code. Who wrote the cipher? What does it mean? If it was just random scribblings, why is it structured in such a specific way? 7. The suitcase. Why did someone carefully remove every label, pack a stenciling kit, and prepare what looks like a spy's go bag? Professor Abbott himself admits, "We've identified the body, but we haven't solved the mystery." ACT 5. The enduring questions. What really happened? Here's what we know for certain. A man died on Somerton Beach in 1948. He went to great lengths to conceal his identity. He had connections to a woman with intelligence ties. He carried a coded message. He died from an unknown poison. He was likely Robin Thompson's biological father. Here's what I think happened, and this is just my theory. Charles Webb was recruited into intelligence work during or after World War II. His skills as an electrical engineer made him valuable, possibly for communications, bugging devices, or technical espionage. He met Jessica Thompson through this world. They had an affair. She became pregnant. In 1948, something went wrong. Maybe Webb wanted out. Maybe he threatened to expose the network. Maybe he was seen as a liability. Thompson, protecting herself and her network, lured him to Adelaide and poisoned him, or she arranged for someone else to do it. The code, instructions, or information Webb was carrying, the removed labels, standard protocol to protect the network if he was discovered. The book, a final message from Thompson, TAMAM SHUD, "It's finished. Our affair, your life, everything." But here's the haunting part. We'll probably never know the full truth. Jessica Thompson died without confessing. Charles Webb left no diary, no letters, no explanation. The code remains unbroken. The legacy. The Somerton man case has inspired books, documentaries, and podcasts, academic papers on cryptography, conspiracy theories ranging from alien contact to time travelers, a generation of amateur detectives and researchers. There's even a strange epilogue. Professor Derek Abbott, who identified Webb, met Rachel Egan, Joe Thompson's granddaughter, while researching the case. They fell in love and married. Abbott may have literally married into the family of the mystery he was investigating. If the Somerton man really was Robin Thompson's father, then Abbott married his own research subject's great-granddaughter. Truth really is stranger than fiction. The final mystery. So what is the truth about the Somerton man? Was he a spy caught in the crossfire of the Cold War? A heartbroken lover who chose a dramatic exit? A small-time criminal who got in over his head? Or something else entirely? Maybe the real mystery isn't who he was, but why someone wanted him forgotten. Why every trace of his identity was erased. Why a code was written but never meant to be solved. Why a woman took secrets to her grave. Sometimes the most dangerous thing isn't what we know. It's what someone doesn't want us to know. The Somerton man's body is buried in Adelaide's West Terrace Cemetery. His gravestone reads, "Here lies the unknown man who was found at Somerton Beach." Even now, after the DNA identification, many still refer to him only as the Somerton man. Because in the end, knowing his name doesn't mean we know his story. And maybe that's exactly how someone wanted it. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more unsolved mysteries and true crime stories. And let me know in the comments, do you think Charles Webb was a spy? Do you think Jessica Thompson killed him? Or is there another explanation we haven't considered? I read every comment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next mystery.